An Encounter with Haiti, Notes of a Special Advisor. The author is Reginald Dumas. He's a retired diplomat. He was United Nations Special Advisor on Haiti, Special Advisor to the Secretary General of the United Nations in 2004. Remember that turbulent year in Haiti's developments. This book contains some of his experiences while on assignment there over a 6-month period. Good to have you. I was interested as to why you wrote the book, and you said some interesting things here in the preface, if you like, in the prologue. The core of this book has to do with my experiences over 6 months in 2004 as Special Advisor on Haiti to the then UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. I completed all but this prologue and epilogue in June 2005, and then I put the manuscript aside. And you said why, and when you picked it up again, because of the continuing developments. One of the things you say here, and I find in the bits that I've read, I shall no doubt be criticized in certain quarters for having written the book in the first place. I expect the charge to be that I have reached confidences and understandings, and some of my comments will be thought to lack academic detachment.
No, but I wasn't writing a history book.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I meant by the academic detachment. I mean, suppose if one is writing a book like that, a history book, some sort of thing from a detached perspective, to hold yourself back and write as dispassionately as possible. My writing, as you see there, is not entirely dispassionate, nor was it intended to be. I'm writing about my experiences, and some were good and some were not so good, and some of the things I had to deal with were good and some were not so good, and some of the people and the organizations I had to deal with were good and some were not so good.
In light of that, you talked about how you think your positions vis-a-vis Jean-Bertrand Aristide or latter too would be responded to. And I thought it was interesting that because a lot of the people, in my experience in watching and reporting on Haiti over these last 4 years, there were people. I remember being at the CARICOM summit in St. Kitts. It was that special summit in February, just after Aristide had been ousted, if you like.
Yes, I remember meeting you there.
Right. And there were a bunch of people there who felt absolutely that was an outrage, and that they would brook no discussion about to what extent Aristide had played into the hands of those who wanted to get him out.
Well,
and you say that in the book.
I say that in the book. You can't solve problems by not speaking to people. Even the United States understands this now. It's recently been talking to Iran, for instance. Iran was one of those countries that we call the axis of evil. It's talking to Libya, which was supposed to be a promoter of terrorism. You had Condoleezza Rice visiting Gaddafi quite recently. It's talking to North Korea, which was supposed to be a rogue state with these nuclear weapons that they're going to bomb everyone with. You cannot solve problems by turning your back on them. But CARICOM has never called for this investigation, to my astonishment.
But to the point about how you regard Aristide, and you said that later on in the epilogue, I think you said that he muffed his opportunity to do something with this country.
Yes, Aristide, in my view, had a glorious opportunity when he was elected first in 1990. He was genuinely loved by respected by the majority of the voters in Haiti. And he won with a crushing majority, something like 60-something%, I think he won, which is a huge margin in democratic elections. But then he seemed very quickly to... I think that Aristide is not a good manager, nor was he, in my view, a good politician. He was a fellow who very well spoke out for the dispossessed. He spoke in democratic terms. He said that the people, tout moun se moun, everyone is a person, and persons and people, every Haitian must have a place in Haiti. Quite right. But it was a question of how you were about it. It's all very well to say these things, but remember, he's facing an entrenched upper bourgeoisie that does not want to see those people, quote unquote, that is to say the bulk of the Haitians, rise. So it's a question of how you deal with this. Now, he confronted, and he also confronted the leaders of the army, who were linked with this haute bourgeoisie. And the inevitable result came, and they pushed him out. the following year. In fact, he was sworn in February of 91, and he was thrown out later that same year.
92. And, yeah.
Went to the United States and then came back when Clinton...
Under the auspices of the President of the United States at the time. Yeah.
To serve out the unexpired portion of his term. It is a question, I think, not that Aristide did not mean well. Of course he meant well. This, I think he meant well. It was a question of how he went about it. And that is why I always draw this distinction, as you know, between government and governance.
Governance, yeah.
Government is what it is. Governance is how you do it.
Declarations you make, which I think will again draw some reaction from some other quarters, the sort of lato to interregnum, if you like. Well, you said that he couldn't do very much because he had been out of Haiti too long. He lived in Florida and so on. But you thought that among the things that he did was to have overseen a fair, as fair could be, election. And then you say, irrespective of who says what, you believe that he did some good in the time.
I think he did. I think he did. I think
there are people who are not prepared to concede that at all.
I know there are people who are not prepared to concede that. The book shows that I disagreed with Latortue on a number of issues. Yeah. There's a long letter that I wrote him, which I put in there, which I copied to Kofi Annan, and I'd ceased at that point to be the special advisor. Yeah. But I was still following things in Haiti, of course, as I still am. And I was getting upset by things that I saw Latortue was doing. And he had done a few things before, like calling the people who overthrew Aristide, calling them freedom fighters, which was the first big slip he made, which put him in a lot of trouble, and from which I think he never recovered in the minds of a number of people. But to say that Latortue was the devil incarnate and was simply the puppet of Washington, that he didn't do anything at all for the people of Haiti, is talk nonsense. I mean, that is simply not true. Yeah. And he did come up with, at the end, what they call a livre blanc, a white paper, which is a fairly extensive thing, several hundred pages of things that he did, his administration did, or attempted to do for Haiti. And it's all very well, you know, for people to say that he was this, that, and the other. But it is noticeable that when Preval was sworn in, Latortue was present. Yeah. And Preval publicly thanked Latortue. Yeah.
You talk about what is required of the Haitian people themselves. You say that you talk about how attachment to their prior achievements and the anti-colonial struggle and so on, that could only go so far. But there are things that the Haitian people must do themselves.
Absolutely. You can't just point fingers at people outside and say they are bringing pressure to bear on me. Yes, they may be bringing pressure to bear on you. But Haitian leadership over time has been markedly authoritarian, even dictatorial over the years. These are Haitians, after all. Yeah. No one told them to be like this. These are Haitians doing this to their own people. So it is no good having the Haitians say that all our problems come from outside, because that is the victimhood syndrome that one has to get away from.
And is encouraged by a lot of people who purport to...
It is not taking responsibility in the sense that one should take responsibility for one's present and one's future. And the Haitians tend to do that. And I'm saying, yes, you have a glorious past. Yes, you fought for independence, and you were the first in the hemisphere to become independent after the United States, of course, in 1804. You fought for this independence against considerable odds, and you gain your independence, and more power to you. You have a rich cultural life. There are many Haitian intellectuals, etc. But there are other factors in terms of the quality of your governance. Yeah. And we come back to this question of governance that you must look at. And you can't blame outsiders for that or point fingers at outsiders. You have to do something yourself.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff. It's more of that is in here. These insights, clinical insights, critical insights from Reginald Dumas. An encounter with Haiti, notes from a special advisor. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Always good talking with you.